All right. I'm going to answer the question of what is the very first step you do before you open an Etsy shop. Had some very interesting answers, but nobody's quite hit it on the head yet. Let's see, who was the closest? The closest one I think I've gotten was Valerie. Have a game plan, a niche, a solid idea of what it is you're trying to accomplish with your store. So that is a good one to go with, because you do want to have a game plan once you get ready to start selling. But here's the thing. Before you can do that, you kind of need to have one other thing. Once you get ready. The very, very first thing you need to have is a product. You need to in the very beginning, probably before you even think of having an Etsy shop, you need a good product that you are selling locally or something that you just really like to make before you even think about an Etsy shop. You have to know what it is. There's a lot of sellers that will start out thinking, well, I like to make jewelry, and I like to crochet, and I like to paint, so I'm going to just take this and I'm going to throw all of these on an Etsy shop. And that is the exact wrong thing to do. I watched today a tutorial from another lady that some of you have heard of, from Renee Christine. And I have never actually had time to watch but a few things of hers. And I had signed up for the email list and stuff a while back, but I just honestly hadn't had time. I was busy with orders and I just haven't had time to watch it. And I was going to watch it because I just wanted to see if, if we were kind of along the same line of thinking. And everything she said was the same thing I've always said and what I used to tell people in my storefront. You have to have a good product first. You can't just decide one day, I'm going to go sell soap. Hey, Susan. And I really don't know anything about making soap, but I think I want to sell soap. And so you can't just say, start today and then go put up a soap shop. It's going to fail. I had a lady that came into my storefront, and she kind of did that. She decided, soap's a going thing, and I'm going to make goat milk soap. And I don't think she really researched it a whole lot, or what was involved really, and what she was going to need to do to make it be a quality product and make it the best it could be, and that it was going to involve a little bit of money to start with to get going. And she had some soap in another store in town that I saw, but I didn't even realize it was her until later, that it was her stuff. She came and brought the stuff in my shop, signed up and paid for a space and brought it in and had it packaged, and it was, okay, not the best. I didn't feel like it was packaged quite like it needed to be, and I did mention that to her, and she said she was going to work on it. But the thing was, she didn't properly let the soap cure like she needed to, and it had flowers and things in it, and it wasn't quite right, and it started to mold. Like, it got a lot of mold on it. I went back there and noticed it, and I was like, I had to pull it off the shelf because I couldn't try to sell her product for her. It was my store reputation. It's not only that, it was her business that she's trying to start, and my store reputation, because I couldn't leave a product on the shelf that I knew could possibly make someone sick or cause harm to them. So I had to pull it and have a talk with her about it, and explain a few things to her, because she had not researched her product well, and she hadn't perfected making it and the quality of the product before she decided to start this business and start putting it in stores and selling it. She had it in another shop, and they also took her products out of the store. And I told her, you know, maybe soap isn't for you, or maybe you need to find something else that might be your, you know, your product that you want, or you just need to research this product more and perfect it first before you start trying to put it out there. So that's kind of the first thing you need to do. And you really have to pick a singular product to start, because if you go in with the attitude that this is a hobby and I'm going to just throw a few things up in my Etsy shop, you're not going to be successful that way. Hate to break it to you, but you're not. Many shops have tried it and failed. You just cannot go at it with a hobby attitude, because Etsy's not really a hobby shop. You know, there's a lot on there that pretend to be, you know, or they pretend to be businesses, and they really are set up as a hobby shop, and they don't get very far. They're kind of wasting time thinking something grand's going to happen overnight without them doing work, and it doesn't work that way. So you have to be prepared before you start. So you have to have an, Valerie's right, you have to have an idea of what you're trying to accomplish. But first, you've got to have that product first. And then you have to decide, is my product something that's going to sell? Do people want it? Have I had interest in it before? Then you have to research on Etsy. Is it something that's selling on there? Do I see other sellers with it? And is it something that's moving? Do people buy it? There are some things you might think you want to sell, and then when you research it, nobody else is really selling it, and the few shops that are trying to sell it aren't making any money. So then you have to wonder, is it an item that is a good thing to have on Etsy, or is it an item that does better in person where people can pick it up and touch it? Because some things people really have to pick it up and touch it. They want to see their quality, and it just doesn't do as well online. Some things they don't seem that they'll do as well online because they're new and nobody has seen them, and it's not a product that somebody would think to look for on Etsy first. There's many things like that I would never have thought to look on Etsy for, because I know I could probably get it local, and it's just not something I would even think you would buy online. So there's certain things like that you have to take into consideration, and that's your first most important step. And if you're one of these that is, you know, just likes to craft and you like to make a lot of different things, you have got to narrow it down. You cannot go into it thinking, I can just put up 4 or 5 different kinds of things in my shop, because there's several reasons for that. There's too many things going on in your shop, and it's just kind of all illogical. And one thing, you might have 2 of this and 2 of this and 2 of this, and they don't help each other, and they're completely different things, like, you know, skincare and crochet and jewelry. None of them match up. They're not in the same even genre, you know, of what you're doing, so it doesn't work. And another reason that doesn't work is when you're going to start a business, whatever you choose to make, you want to be the best you can be in it. You want to perfect that product. And that was something that, you know, she said today in this video that I looked at. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I've been telling people for years, because that's what I would always tell people that came in my store. So it was a little more of a validation for me that, yeah, I'm on the, I've been on the right track for years when I've, even before I started on Etsy, that was always my advice to sellers that came in the shop. You want to make it the best you can be. The saying goes, if you're a jack of all trades, you are a master of none. Now, sometimes if you're a handyman, knowing how to do a lot of things comes in great. But when you're trying to do something to make a business, you cannot perfect and master 10 different things all at one time. You just can't. First, you can't because of time, not having the time to put into research and practice to make it the best it can be. The next is financial, because you have to buy ingredients to make that soap or beads or whatever to make the jewelry, and the yarn to do the crochet. So you spread your finances too thin, so no one thing is getting 100% of your input to make it the best it can be. So that causes failure, because instead of the product you're trying to sell being the best you possibly can make it, you have 5 things that are not so great, and you fail. That's when you have to pick the one thing you want to focus on. And if it's something else you're good at making, you want to put that on the back burner. You pick the best thing, get it going, and then go with something else later after you've got the first shop going good. There's some things you can have in the same shop, but it might not work as good together. For other things, I mean, some things that kind of are in the same line, like clothing or whatever, and it might be crocheted items, and then it might be other scarves or dresses, things that are all in the same kind of thing that's women's clothing, may work fine in a shop and put it in different sections. But some other things that are completely different, you don't want to have in the same shop because of branding issues. People, when they shop on Etsy, they see items, not shops. So they would see each individual items, but if they're completely different things, like say jewelry and crocheted, that's 2 different. So you have to realize that also, that if you're going to try to do more than one kind of product, you may end up with a whole completely separate shop. But the very first thing you do is you get that product and you research it, and you find out what's going to be involved and how much you're going to have to invest in it to make it the best it can be. And then you work at